Ooga chaka, ooga, ooga, ooga chaka, ooga, ooga, ooga chaka, ooga, ooga, ooga chaka, ooga, ooga.
I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's alright. I'm hooked on a feeling, I'm high on believing that you're in love with me. Lips as sweet as candy.
We'll just lead up the thing with a copyright claim. Why not? Yeah. No, you might get away with it. Do it in like about a minute. This is nothing particular. Just generally throw it out there. Sent the link to various folks, so they want to join in. Great. We, got a game of cards ready to go. We can get a decent enough crowd. Otherwise, we'll just sit here and yak about things. But there's reason to push in Star Trek thing. They're trying to, it's like suddenly everyone starts pushing about the canon, about how important it is, whether or not they adhere to it, and some of what this sort of came out of nowhere. It's like for a while we hadn't heard much of any, but now suddenly they're really pushing. They're going to change the canon. Okay, let's bring this in here. Anyone who thinks that there is no changing the Star Trek canon, that is set. That is, basically the Star Trek. It's basically a fancy word for the official backstory. But basically, that's the canon. Is whatever Roddenberry was in charge of, had a hand in, or people he appointed to run it. So that means, and again, and before anyone bring the animated series, that was solved. Lawyers have been paid. It's back in. So that basically includes original series, animated series, movies, Next Gen, DS9, Voyager, and Enterprise. And yeah, he actually had a small hand in the early development of DS9. These shows take a while to develop. DS9 came out just after Gene Roddenberry died. It had been in development for a couple of years. Okay, it takes a while to get. They don't just throw things together overnight. So Berman did talk to Roddenberry, and Roddenberry did get his 2 cents worth in. So even that show has some of his DNA in it. I mean, the created by thing, that's settled by Writers Guild, rules and all that. So he didn't put enough to qualify for a created by, but it's certainly enough to be based on Star Trek created by Gene Roddenberry, which means yes, the estate still gets a check. But he had a thing in. He had his 2 cents with it. So and again, people he put in charge to oversee this thing. Rick Berman and Mike Peller, and that especially that carries forward. So basically, the official canon ended in 2005 with the cancellation of Enterprise. The people who are running things now, there is no institutional knowledge or carry on from that period. The most we had to that was when Terry Matalas did that one season of Picard. Because of his prior experience, he started off as a PA on DS9. He was Roddenberry's assistant on Voyager, and he did moved up thing, did stuff on Enterprise. He knows how the sausage is made, and that's why season 3 felt the most like actual Star Trek in the first time in 20 years, just about. And he retconned as much as he could get away with. There are a few hard lines he couldn't. He couldn't change anything about Picard being an android body, or Deanna and Riker's kids dying. A few bright lines. No, you're stuck with these. Everything else, they didn't care. Public statements, he's got to play the happy talk. Oh, Alex Kurtzman was he's invaluable by staying out of the damn way. The thing is, Hollywood is a sleazy little town, and no one's going to hire a producer who badmouths his work. Especially, there may be a situation where you're working with them again in some capacity. And if you want to work with Star Trek again for the near future, that means you don't badmouth Alex Kurtzman. He's an addictive little shit anyway. But again, probably behind the scenes, he got away with this stuff because nobody cared. In the eyes of the network, the CBS, there was a wounded duck on the way out. Do what you want. We don't care. In the eyes of Kurtzman, he was busy doing his other thing. He's doing this Section 31 crap and working on, and Akiva Goldsman, he's got his hands full with Strange New Worlds. Nobody either had the time or the inclination to interfere with what Mattels is doing. That's why the USS New Jersey looks like one of these and not the Disco Prize. I'm not showing that because the hinges are off. And they brought back the Enterprise. Basically, he resolved a lot of stuff with Generations that pissed people off. They restored the Enterprise D and gave it a more dignified ending by putting the Fleet Museum and that. And he undid Kirk's death. He's now on ice in Section 31, ready to be brought back in some future storyline, like some episode of Legacy, if you ever get that greenlit. But again, that's not going to happen until Kurtzman is out of the way. Because, again, Kurtzman's an addictive little greedy, little shit, doesn't want to share credit or royalties with anybody. And apparently the scuttlebutt is that, no, he refused to greenlit Legacy, despite the fact that the petition to have Legacy come back dwarfs what they did to get Strange New Worlds. People want Legacy, but no, they don't want that. And he said if they make him do it, he'll sabotage it. He will stick his oar in and screw things up as much as he can. And again, so I think with the Prodigy and Lower Decks, he doesn't seem that the animation side is worth his attention. So he lets them run on their own. They like my man said, they do not get notes from Kurtzman regarding Lower Decks. They get a few questions here and there, but otherwise they're left to run on their own. I think Prodigy, I think it's the same thing. They don't get any interference. They're cartoons. They do what they want. And as such, Season 3 of Picard, the entirety of Lower Decks, and Prodigy so far have been the best Star Trek we've had since 2005. Because these people are actually know what the hell it's about, and they know how to run a successful show. I forget what the heck, but don't discount Mike McMahon's work on. He was the showrunner on Rick and Morty, and like it or not, that show is very successful. And if you bother to get past the wonky animation, I think there's some very highbrow concepts behind these episodes. A lot of alternate reality and time travel stuff, and genetics and everything. It's pretty highbrow stuff in there, and a very surreal show. These episodes, you do have to think a little bit to follow them. Okay, so I think a lot of the grumbles I've heard about is just like the animation style and the rapid fire banner, but that's a stylistic thing. You like it or don't like it. I can't do anything about that. But one thing the show is not is stupid. It is a very smart show. And again, comparing Rick and Morty and Lower Decks, the animation is really not that similar. I mean, they kind of got that SoCal, art style a little bit, but not by much. Except for the big eyes and the thing, the animation in Lower Decks is very grounded. The ship designs are very solid, and the animation is pretty darn good actually. They don't get nearly as wild as Rick and Morty does. But one guy trying to give it's just a visual reboot. Nothing's changed. No, you changed the appearance of it. You changed it. I don't care if the dates and names you have changed the background. Let's just give the Civil War soldiers F-15s and machine guns and tanks. Keep the dates the same, Bull Run and Antietam and all that, and then Gettysburg, they all come in the same. Just give them fancy weapons because they're cool. Besides the obvious problem with historical record and type of thing, that's not the way it's been done previously in Star Trek. When they revisited a prior era, they made sure it stayed true to that prior depiction. Trials and Tribulations is a key example. They, because they were not just, they didn't update anything visually. They didn't recast because the cast is too old. We can't bring them in. No, in fact, the thing is, they were literally inserting the DS9 characters into Trouble or Tribbles, matching up actual footage. Okay, rebuilding the sets and getting the costumes and the props, and lining up as closely as humanly possible to that. And with same thing with Enterprise, Enterprise Darkly. They went even further rebuilding the set. It wasn't just little things of green screen. No, they rebuilt the entire bridge and lots of corridors. If they could have done engineering, they would have. I mean, there was a reference in there. They easily could have done there. But if the budget was there, I'm sure they would have. When they painted them, it's been stripped to the bulkheads. I'm sure they would have loved to recreate engineering and shown that off. Closest we got was a Jeffries tube. But that's it's been pretty thing because Doug Drexler said it's like Star Trek is a period piece now. Okay, they have very defined eras of this and what they look like, and it's like Nora Burnett and he told somebody else, the Star Trek is a history of a future that never was. Because the whole thing, we need to change the thing to match up with our time. No, you don't, because it was never our timeline in the first place. Star Trek is not our future, and it was never our past. I think I got cited back to stuff that was done in the day on the original series. Clark Gable was not a marquee star in 1930. He was still a supporting player. His first leading role wasn't until like 1932. In 1968, we did not have orbital nuclear platforms ready to rain nuclear fire to bomb the world, and so that never happened. And mind you, that was current at the time. It wasn't just somebody, it wasn't just Harlan Ellison kind of making a mistake on when Clark Gable became a movie star. A Time on Earth was talking about back to 1968, and when was the episode aired? 1968. It was current day. So yeah, even then, they acknowledge this is not our future. It's not our history. So the whole thing about, the eugenics wars, well, you need to move forward. No, you don't, because, you just changed the entire, with that one change, you changed everything. So everything goes out at wall. The date, then the event shakes. Oh yeah, because the thing is, you change when the eugenics wars happened, then you change when they left, and you change when exactly, they find the Botany Bay and all that. And, because like with the JJ trick, when, they changed that one around. Well, guess what? If the Enterprise isn't there to find Khan at that time, and it just carries forward, the whole sequence of Star Trek 2, 3, and 4 don't happen. Because they didn't find Khan at that point. They didn't exile him on there. They weren't in a position to get a bird of prey and be away from Earth when the probe comes a knocking, wondering where's the whales. So yeah, you changed the eugenics wars. Guess what? You just killed Earth in the late 23rd century. Like, it's all interconnected. People don't have enough sense to realize, it's a knife from tapestry. Pull one thread, the whole thing becomes unraveled. Hey, Charlie. Now, I have a card game ready to go if we got a crowd to show up, and I got I've sent out the link to the various, again, Rosetta is not in a position to stream right now because she's set up at home or at her mom's house. crapped out. They're in no position to fix it. So, then again, she's irritated because, you kind of feast on the live streams. Whoops. So we're just I'm just hanging out here right now, just ranting a bit. But yeah, it's like the whole thing about, how they're trying to push about changing the canon. You cannot change the canon. You can't add to the canon. The canon is set. You can comply with the canon, or you can violate the canon. Lower Decks, Prodigy, and that last season, Lower Decks and Prodigy are very canon adherent. But to be fair, we really can't count them as canon. We can say they go along with canon. Season 3 of Picard, mostly there, except for the two or three things bits that they wouldn't let Metalis change. But in a classic case of turning chicken shit into chicken salad, they took the android body and actually made it the fact that Picard wasn't his original body, and they had to get they stole the original body, made it a story point. That actually kind of made sense. Yep. And worked within the context of the story. It was a stupid move to begin with, but it's like they actually made it turn something interesting into it. But they seem to be trying to push the things so that we're changing the canon. No, you're not. You can't. The only person who can change the canon died in 1991. And that would be one Eugene Wesley Roddenberry. So that's not happening. The canon closed with the cancellation of Enterprise. And frankly, that last episode is kind of debatable anyway, just because it contradicts so much. Best we can do is say all the Enterprise stuff doesn't count because it's a badly written, and even then there's a line in there where Deanna says, if this program is accurate. Well, it's not. So there's your out. As far as the context of the thing is taking place during the Pegasus episode, no. That's a case of, Frakes might pass for what he would back during that episode, but Marina, no, she has aged visibly. Doesn't work. Change it to something else. Okay, I think a better example, instead of trying to fit it within the context of Pegasus, if they had done it like with these agonizing whether or not to accept promotion to captain and command of the Titan, that would have worked. That would have contradicted the damn thing, and it would have accounted for the fact they're older. And they wouldn't have had to try to fit into their old uniforms. We got doing the new ones they had from the movies. Well, there was a lot happening before then. Yeah, he's ready to take command of the Titan and also finally marry Deanna. That was quite a bit, and that would have. It doesn't justify what they did in the holodeck because they just totally made a hash of it. But yeah, that's another thing. They contradicted. They retconned. These are the voyages when they showed the NX-01 with that secondary hull in the Fleet Museum. That wiped out These Are the Voyages, effectively. So there was a lot going on in that episode that Terry Matalas took a chance to fix when he had the opportunity. He resolved the worst aspects of Generations. He took care of that one stupid episode of Enterprise. He retconned out the Disco Prize by showing it in New Jersey as a proper Constitution-class ship and identifying it as such. And as far as the past stuff happened to Picard, he gave them as little attention as possible. You had a passing reference to Raffi and Seven having a thing, but we're not going to go any deeper than that. Just say they broke up and move on. But like I said, he did what he could. Okay. And give him a full series, he could probably do a lot more. And I think just one good two-parter could probably realign the whole damn thing and bring it back in the line of proper Star Trek, timeline. And like I say, some kind of weird little temporal anomaly happens, and suddenly, they check Picard. It's like this isn't an android body. This is all you. You know, I mean, the whole thing. Q dying. Well, Q shows up at the end of Enterprise. You humans think so linearly. You know, but yeah, can Q die? Only if he wants to. He changed his mind. That's why, I have season 3 on Blu-ray. I even got the replacement disc to correct the Enterprise flyby on one of the episodes. But other than that, no. Those other 2 seasons will never darken my door. Nor will ever anything from Strange New Worlds or Discovery. I do have, what I get of Lower Decks and what I got so far, Prodigy. I'm waiting for the full season to come out. I got the first half when it came out. And I have the model of the Cerritos coming from Polaroids on pre-order with Cult TV Man. Considering my current financial situation, take your time going with that one. Well, let's see. On other issues, let's see. I just watched a few episodes regarding borderline personality disorder. A little more insight into that, and what are the signs of it, and and again, they say don't use this to diagnose anybody, but I don't have to because in case my Indy's already been diagnosed with, and watching think, yep, that fits her like that, right down the line, including her devotion to her sycophantic, hangers on, and her reaction to me. It's like, it's going to be a tough nut to crack, okay? But there's other things going on there. It's like, other factors, like, part of it's also genetic. You can inherit certain things, and her grandma, guess what? She also was diagnosed with it. It's kind of why her parents, fought against it. No, she did. So, taking a look at certain things here. Just to make sure. I'm pretty sure it still hasn't updated yet, but you never know. Try and wait for that. Because the county is horribly understaffed right now, and as such, certain benefits are not going out like they should, including our food benefits. Means I'm having to spend money I shouldn't have, and as a result, I'm not $200 in the hole. So that in mind, links down below if you want to try and throw some money at us, get patches over. I mean, I do have a regular paycheck for my caregiver thing, so it's not a deal. It's not a death knell like it would have been previously. We're better off financially. We got the subsidy for the apartment, so we're fine. We're not going to get booted. We're not going to this is just a big bump in the road right now because let's just say the cable company they demand the payment by this date, but when you pay it, it's like then they take their sweet ass time actually forwarding it, and that throws things off. So it's partially my fault for not keeping track of it, but also it's like they don't really help much when they don't cash the thing when they get it. So anyway, but yeah, Indy is going to be and part of the react is like you're intensely loyal or you're the scum of the earth. And right now I'm in the scum of the earth category, but I'm not going anywhere. I'll stick through this thing when she finally comes out of it and realizes what's going on. Hopefully we can resolve that situation and get back on friendly terms. And hopefully, help in some healing there. Right. Let's see what's going on in the group chat. They're still yakking in the. See if Rosetta can join in via the phone. Well, let's see. I've got all the guitars, got all the strings. The acoustic, only thing really left to do on the thing now at this point, other than ultimately having to basically take the neck off and rearrange it because it is off by enough that it's going to be problematic trying to play it for real. But puttying up the holes where the strap buttons go so I can actually reattach strap buttons. The other one over here, it's got the new E string on it, and I should attach get the strap I got and attach that to it. After that, it's just getting up the gumption to settle down and start trying to practice again. Again, if we can actually get a crowd in here, I've got a game ready to rock and roll here. Steph has gone to sleep at this point, so no point, she's not going to do anything but now. So other than me monologuing, let's see. Like I said, the Batman thing. That seriously major demand for this Batman model. The put together thing. So I've only gotten the first shipment so far. Been a reship. Okay, we're back online. We'll get you back on here. So so far I've gotten the hood with the bracket in it and the bat phone and one wheel. The rest of it pretty much has to wait for later on, especially that bat ray thing. That's staying where it is right now. Because in here right now, there's no way to set anywhere where it's not going to get damaged. Now I have cleared out quite a bit here. So this one, hopefully before too long, this table will be usable again. This poor light has seen better days because the cord decided to break on me. Let's see. Yeah. Nah, it's trash. I could probably salvage the LED strip for something else. As what is function for? Nope. Okay, let's get Kermit out of the way here. No, you don't. All right. Ah, my ruler. What am I doing? Get that out. Stop that. Ah, Stephen, long time no see. Whoops. That's not a good place for that. Little bird of prey? Yeah. Let's put that up here. Well, quest for usable desk space here. I had to rearrange quite a bit of stuff here for various reasons. Somewhere there's a missing myself. Someone's lightsaber, probably Vader's. What? All right. All right. Yeah, it's mainly be just me ranting a bit about what they've done to Star Trek, what they're apparently going to do to Star Trek, despite our best efforts. What they think they're going to do to Star Trek. For the most part, they are sadly mistaken what they think they can do with it. Just because they own the property doesn't mean they can do with it what they want. There are certain rules of again, the whole concept of a literary canon. Really, a lot of it really goes back to you can refer to the Bible, but for the most part, as far as literature goes and pop culture, it's mainly started with Sherlock Holmes, I think. Because at the time, the Sherlock Holmes stories were a bit of a sensation. They were big. And Conan Doyle had a big old problem with overzealous fans. And I think the part was there have been people doing their own fanfic stories of Sherlock Holmes. So it kind of, the sort of thing that, John Byrne gets to argue with people. But that's not the way it was, and their source is their own fanfic story. That's not, how can you, and I think Conan Doyle probably the same thing. So that's why he just set down an official canon. No, only these stories count. Your imaginary thing you wrote in a notebook somewhere and only showed to your friends, that doesn't count. I don't care how well you thought it, how well thought out it was, how written it is. It doesn't count. It's not an official story. And the same thing, and Star Trek is a big monolith of it, but they had to sit down. No, the novels don't count. I don't care how good they are, how well written they are. One, it would be insanity trying to incorporate the novels into the thing because they contradict themselves all the time. There's like 3 or 4 different backstories for the Romulan commander, or Spock's childhood, or what happened to Kirk on Tarsus 4. And a large part is because Roddenberry hated the fucking novels. Okay, his usual trouble was those damn books. He wanted nothing to do, even back when they had James Blish doing the novelizations of the stories. He wanted nothing to do with it. He had no control over it. They sent Blish first draft scripts. And if you know anything about some of the stories what they went through, the first drafts of many episodes bear no resemblance to the final shooting draft, what we saw on screen. And Blish was in England. The show didn't premiere in England for a couple of years, like 69. So he's he doesn't really know the character. They send some pictures and these first draft scripts, and he's writing as best he can. Even he thought he was slumming it. He's a Hugo and a Nebula award-winning author, and he's doing media tie-ins. In the 1960s, especially, that was really considered cheap, but it was a paycheck. And I'm sure, and a lot of these things come out, and I'm sure he's getting letters. Hey, this doesn't look anything like what we saw. Where the hell did this come from? Hey, I was only going by what I was told. I haven't seen the episode. And I remember the foreword for the novel Spock Must Die. He had Kirk referred to Spock as Doc and not Bones. And even then he said, I know better, but my editors wouldn't let me call him Bones. A lot of strange stuff going on with the novels. But there's just no way to incorporate any of the novels. Roddenberry didn't even consider his novelization of the motion picture as canon. No, not even this one. No, none of the novels. I mean, closest we got on that was Jerry Taylor considered the 2 Voyager novels she wrote to be canon, but they got contradicted once she left. I mean, some of the backstory stayed in there, but the other thing she put, no, that didn't happen. We love Jerry to pieces, but no, you know. Oh, that's all it is now is a money machine, especially the Kurtzman rat bastard. I remember B just said, it's like the reason why, we're going around trying what, the thing, see, we kept changing around us and trying to do the updates concordance. And she probably said, it ain't happening because the people in charge do not want to share credit or royalties. That sums up Kurtzman in a nutshell right there. Ripping off writers left and right, not even giving them screen credit, certainly not paying them royalties. And again, if it's going to get to the point, there'll be a class action grievance filed against these shows because the number of writers they're ripping off. Like I said, if you listen carefully, you could, when they ran that thing, that last one where the Guardian of Forever showed up, you could hear Harlan Ellison screaming from the great beyond, "I'll get you, you bastards! I'll crawl up your peels and punch your kidneys, you fucks!" But apparently it was in his will. Do not let Star Trek touch Guardian, this in there forever. He was getting requests all the time from writers all through. Can we use it? No. He let one writer, Dorothy Fontana, use the Guardian in the animated episode Yesteryear. That was it. As a personal favor to Dorothy Fontana. Very little. That was only in the Guardian. There was just a device to get to the story. Otherwise, no. And again, apparently I thought they were being clever by going to an earlier draft of Guardians of Forever. Classic case right there. First draft, the Guardians of It's in There Forever. No resemblance to the final draft. The entire nature of the Guardian, it was the Guardians of Forever. A bunch of very big, long, like something out of Lord of the Rings type of thing, that had a portal. In the final draft, the final version, the portal was the Guardian of Forever. And of course, you had Beckwith dealing drugs on the Enterprise, but it's ridiculous. Like I said, they ripped off Dorothy Fontana's novel Vulcan's Glory. They ripped off Harlan Ellison. Ursula K. Le Guin got ripped off. Paul Schneider, they just cut and pasted the script for Balance of Terror, stuck it in their own, didn't even bother to give them screen credit or based on Balance of Terror. No. Technically, it's all theirs to do with what they want. No need to acknowledge anybody else ever worked on the show before them. Except for the credit at the very beginning of the show saying, based on Star Trek created by Gene Roddenberry. That's required by contract. So the Roddenberry estate gets a check. But, again, you know why they have 15, 16, 20, executive producers? So everybody gets a check out of it, whether they do anything on the show or not. It's a money grab for everybody involved. And it's sickening. Okay? Like people, trying to bring up the thing about Roddenberry. Oh, I'm sure that they'll be better than that. They did better than that Roddenberry guy ever did. Yeah, I was happy talking a video interview for a game. In private, it's like, no, they'll kill it. Once it's gone, they'll kill it. They'll destroy it. They don't know how to handle it. They know what they're doing. And Berman fought the good fight as long as he could, but ran up against the immovable object that was Les Moonves. Once he got control, because when he was just, he had a CBS before he got his control over UPN. He was trying to pull the plug on it before then, but Kerry McCluggage was a fan and backer. He was in on the development of that series, and he held him off as best as they could. But once Moonves got his hooks in there, that's it. Fourth season was the last. And the thing is, a lot of people, in front of him, behind the camera, said the fourth season was the best one. Jeffrey Combs said this should have been season 1. So the show actually embraced the fact it is a prequel, and they were doing stuff a prequel should do, set up stuff that leads into the final thing. And I'm one of those that would very much like to see them bring it back. Mostly, partly to, one, I want to see that, refit on screen. I want to see that secondary hull and see that in action. But also be nice to see them just openly contradict, these are the voyages. Have Trip there, alive and well, and still chief engineer. Now, considering the amount of time it's gone by, I think it would be just after the Romulan War, and they're picking up the pieces. Leave the war itself to the novels. They're having fun playing with that one, but just have it where now you're dealing with just the aftermath of the war. And just get a couple more seasons out of where it's like or Archers, but okay, I think I've done my bit for King and Country. I'm ready to retire after this mission, And you have the last scene where the NX-01 Enterprise at this point is probably a cadet ship, and Archer's done his bit. He's captain and head of Starfleet Academy and president of the Federation, and where he's like 100-some years old, and there for the launch of that ship, that one back there, because that's always a part of the history. They meant when and Intermere Darkly, when their Hoshi has Archer's bio up on the thing, they did full out text of history, and they meant that he died shortly after the launch of the Constitution class Enterprise in 2245. So he was around to see that. But I think that should be the last scene of Enterprise. That would be to wrap it up, because at that point now we're into original series territory. Granted, it's still got like 20-some years, because you're talking 2245, and original series didn't, they're starting to like 2265 with the first pilot, and 2266 with starting with the Corbomite maneuver, and that's to account for changes in uniform stuff. But yeah, get that in there, and a lot of in between you're again putting in more things. I'd rather just push the studio to do it, But also the thing is, get Kurtzman the hell away from this franchise. Good God, they've got enough evidence as it is. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He killed the Dark Universe for Universal Pictures with one movie. He had a hand in that second Garfield, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie. That thing did not go over well. It died rather horribly. His record away from Star Trek is horrible. Clarice was savaged by the critics. And they call him out as just an IP hack going from one franchise to the other. Like, I think we could say, can we put a limit on how many properties a guy can be in charge of at a given time? That's nothing. It's like Star Trek Continues. Technically, Vic has pointed this out. Technically, CBS and Paramount own it already. They could put it up on Paramount Plus right now, not have to pay a dime. It'd be nice if they would. This is a courtesy. But technically, they own it. It is based on, and then all rights reserved. That's one of the rights they reserved. They reserved the right to put it on there and see what happens. It'd be nice if they did. No, they could, again, we could, probably do some fan film stories on it, but any kind of large form thing. No, let's get this studio and actually do it right. But again, you'd have to get people in there who know what the hell they're doing. Kurtzman ain't it. Metalis would be good. He would, he knows what to do, and he knows who to call. And again, I'm assuming he's on good terms with the rest of the Enterprise cast. Like, hey, Scott, Connor, want to come back and fix things? Let's get the band back together and fix this thing, all right? Let's see that ship get that refit, Let's see Trip, actually live. And even with Strange, even that these are the voyages. everyone from Berman and Bragg on down, and that was a mistake. It was well intentioned. The idea was to do a Valentine for the entire franchise, and it came out just a slap in the face because you're basically relegating the series finale for one show as a holodeck episode in another. It's like a 5-second clip of the original Enterprise with Kirk's voiceover doesn't count. Okay. Followed by another 5 seconds of Patrick Stewart doing the narration, and then give Bakula the claim saying where no man has gone before. I'm sure he's been waiting to say that for years. So are we going to do a narration? No, Scott. We're going to have a song. Oh, geez. But no, there is there's a lot of good ideas out in fandom for what we can do. The two chief ones, three of you, the two biggies, Star Trek Legacy, let's do that. You've got the audience. You've got the audience, guys. Paramount, there people want to see this. Especially if you get Vitalis on board, they want to see it. Tell Kurtzman to go fuck himself, okay? It's clear. He does not know what he's doing. Anything he touches in the franchise turns to crap immediately. The only reason Discovery got 5 years because it was in that damn contract Moonves saddled with. And kudos for canceling that show the first freaking opportunity you had. Freak the hell out of the I thought we're doing good. No, you're not. You're bleeding money. That ends now. But yeah, it's like get Star Trek Legacy greenlit and put them together. Renewed Lower Decks. It's got good, again, this is the ones where the fans, hey, no, this is more like it. We recognize this as Star Trek, okay? But as much as we love to dream about, being the captain of a country's class, realistically, I see myself as commanding the California class, okay? And I got the uniform in the closet. Okay? I got that in reserve for when, Lower Decks comes back, later in the year. It's like, okay, watch party time. Now I've already said on tweets, I got dibs on the USS Victorville. But yeah, that and bringing back Enterprise, because that's another case of what, again, the drive with the original series, what got that fan going, a lot of unfinished business. We were cut off too soon. That show should have had 3 more seasons. Enterprise needs to have a proper ending. They did not end it properly. Lower Decks is not being ended properly. Everyone involved said we got more to do. We're not through yet. So it's not the case. The best thing is if Netflix said, yeah, okay, yeah, we've got Lower, we'll do a Lower Decks too. Whatever. If it really does, perform well for that, yes, we'll do that one too. Okay. Because they were ready to string up, Kurtzman by his balls by the way Discovery wasn't performing for them. They were losing people. They certainly weren't clicking on that thing. And then they got hoodwinked, basically bankrolling the entire production thing. No, we're not doing that again. And they went to court, and the court said, no, you can't make them do it. You did not meet certain obligations of what you're promising, that this ain't delivering. No, you're not going to, you're not going to do it. You can't make them pay for it. You're going to have to pay for it yourself, asshole. It's your show. You pay for it. Okay, word from Rosetta. Never stream. It's Thursday? Yes, it's Thursday. Okay. Never stream Thursday nights. I have big activities. Normally busy from sun up till we stagger back in around 12 a.m. after 12 p.m. after even could sign again. Okay, so Rosetta can't do it. All right. Oh, fair enough. So I'm on my own here. But it's like we're in a twilight zone as far as, studios responding to the audience. It's like we don't care if you don't like it. You're going to get anyway. Well, then you can't make us watch. That's the thing they still haven't figured out yet. You can't make us watch, okay? You just don't just take the audience for granted. It's like, oh, they'll watch. No, we're not. And it's coming through. No, they're not watching. Now, and Rob Burnett's slammed with work. At least I'm finally getting responses. Why I'm getting response on the phone faster than with the computer. Man, they're just getting into good rants at this point. Feel free to clip them. All right. All right. So back to this. I might as well shut down the game at this point, but again, Rick and Morty, despite the obvious, Rick and Morty and Lower Decks are very different shows. Okay? The animation styles are actually pretty different. Rick and Morty is much looser and much more surreal and stuff. It really wouldn't. If you do a side by side, they really don't match up. Okay. So it's the most I would do with that is like just have like Mariner and T'Lyn walking down a corridor, a portal opens up, Rick pokes his head up. Sorry, wrong dimension. Back out. That's the most as I would do. But ideally, my idea of what the perfect wrap up for the original series, because animated series is already back in canon. They paid the lawyers off. They've got full rights to it now. They don't have to pay Filmation a dime. They paid them off, and that's again around 92 or so. And that's when animated series was officially readmitted to canon, and you started getting references in DS9 and in Enterprise to animated series stuff. And stuff that was purely from the animated series. And that was the whole sticking point, because if they had done it before that, they'd had to pay a royalty check to Filmation, because they actually did the production of it. Paramount Television only distributed it. And they had to get that sewn up, and that took until about 92 or so. So it's not just, Roddenberry done. Like, no, it meant to the fact that they couldn't lay claim to it solely because Filmation would have had a claim. They would have had to pay, Paramount would have had to pay money to Filmation if any of like DS or Next Gen made a reference to, say, Lieutenant Eric's. Filmation would have gotten a check for that. And Paramount has always been very adverse to paying money they don't have to. Like, it took years before they finally admit the original series was making money. According to them, even up through the mid 80s, though, it's still in the hole. Roddenberry was suing them for to get back royalties. It wasn't until Bill Shatner joined in with his lawyer. Remember, one thing of being a star in the show also meant Shatner had partial ownership of the show. He had like 1.5%, but it still is something. Which also tells me that Shatner's lawyer was much better than Roddenberry's lawyer. Yeah. I'm not sure what Leonard Mazes was worth anyway. He's just a snippy little rat bastard anyway. But very productive machine to the point of, pissing off everybody around him. But he couldn't get anywhere to pair him up. But Shatner comes up and, now suddenly the books are open. Oh, what do you know? They have been making money. Here's your check. And I tagged Shatner in a tweet. No, but what about the royalties? No. And we also point out that those royalty checks ran out in the early 70s because the contract at that time, they're only paid royalty money, residual money for about the first 5 times the show was run. And considering how many times Star Trek ran, even by the mid 70s, those checks ran out a long time before the first movie was made. And that's part of why they were doing conventions all the time. They couldn't get work because they're typecast. And the residual money to run out. And so, all right, cons are paying money? Yep, okay, we do cons. That was their job at that point. And D. Kelly said, yeah, it's getting kind of tiresome, but, but that's also why when the first movie was made, they got paid, and they got paid well. Like, you want us back in the unit, you're going to pay us some back money. And Nimoy was the biggie. Because of the stuff. No, I can't pull it up. But the way they'd been using Spock's likenesses all those years, he saw that Heineken ad. Very famous one. They got a picture of Spock with the ears all droopy. He gets a Heineken and the ears pop up. And fascinating. That's it. I think he filed suit the next day. But like the Mego and all of them. And see the little Mego figures, I've got them put away now, but they really don't look much like the cast, except for Spock. There's no getting away with it. You want to look like Spock, it's going to end up looking like Nimoy because there's very distinctive features. But it's like, he never got paid for that shit. None of the other people got paid for that stuff. So yeah, when they started to go back to, and again, like, part of the push for bringing it back, the Next Generation, was a new series without the original cast. Because the original cast, not so matter of old, as a matter of they're too expensive. Well, let's see. Move a few more things here. Back out of the damn way. Good. And somewhere the Reliant has my cells in here. But damn thing out of the way. All right. Oh, there you are. That, and we can get this bad boy intact again. Come on. And there we go. One Johnny Lightning Refit Enterprise. Lights again. Shit. There's any cell falls off again. And try to avoid breaking out the super glue. All right. There we go. More colored pencils. Where's the folder? No. Why is that empty? All right. Shit. Spill pencils on me. All right. Okay, get in there. All right. I was wondering if these I need to finish this bad boy. As I call it, the canon version of the Discovery. And the spare parts now, I can do it proper. Got Peter Rabbit in here somewhere in there. Oh. Well, we've been out for an hour. And it looks like nobody else is coming in, so I'm going to go and wrap it up here. So, I think, let's see. Pick a good outro here, and I don't do the screen shifts again. That's kind of creepy. Well, it's been mostly Star Trek, so I'll do the Star Trek exit here. Yeah. One brief talk about Indian or things that doesn't quite go out. So we'll just wrap it up here. Links in the description to support us. Here and get this channel going again. And we'll talk at you later.